Here.
Mr. Richards.
Here.
And Ms. Cotton Higgins.
Names are switched.
I'm more of a blended poly, but that's
And Ms. Meeker is going to try to join us shortly. We are here tonight to discuss issuing a bond for HVAC systems at Concord High School and Beaver Meadow High School. We're also using ESSER funds currently to update the HVAC at Broken Grounds, as well as for new buses. And I am going to turn it over to Mr. Dunn.
Yep. So this is a public hearing and vote on the bond. So I just did a quick presentation as an overview. So this is in your board folder, Teams folder, this presentation. Also, we'll just do a review, open it up for a public hearing, and then ask that you vote based on that feedback. And then you can go into your non-public session and decide whether you want the TVs to stay around or whatever.
Gotcha.
But I'll leave you be for that. Okay, just as an overview, so the funds to pay for this were appropriated in the FY25 budget. We got conservative bond schedules, plug those numbers in for budgetary purposes. Once we actually go through the whole process and everything and finalize it, we'll be able to tell you, here's what we budgeted, here's what the numbers came in at, and that's where we're at. So in that bond resolution, which you have in front of you, are those three items. The HVAC at the high school, which will start next summer. Beaver Meadow HVAC, which is happening now, as well as Broken Ground. Broken Ground was completely ESSER. Beaver Meadow was partially ESSER. That's the difference. And we've already expended that, so we'll be reimbursing ourselves for those funds. And then $1.5 million in buses, which I put in the bus schedule of what those buses are that are being replaced. There's 12 of them. So the total is $19.975 million. And also in that bond resolution, you'll see the first two are 20-year bonds and the buses are 10-year bonds, okay? Because that's the expected life. So this is the resolution that we handed out to you. So it's just the two sections, so I tried to make it big enough. And that is all I had for the public presentation of what the bond was. You can open it up for any comments if there's anybody.
Do we have a sense of what interest rates we're looking at?
So let me go back. What I did do is I literally got an email about an hour and a half ago from New Hampshire Bond Bank. So New Hampshire Bond Bank, what it is for districts that are maybe smaller than our size or they want to participate. And we have done that before. 10-year bonds, they bonded $127 million between, I'll have to look doing the thing, how many communities were in that collective pool. And they got 3.19% for 10-year, 20-year was 3.75. We based this conservatively on 4.25 and 3.75. So 4.25 for the HVAC, and the bus is 10-year at 3.75.
And are we going to use New Hampshire Bond Bank, or is that just
No,
an example?
I'm just using an example.
Okay.
We won't, because it's likely we'll do better. That's my hope.
Well, that's good to know.
All right, but that's my hope, but then that gives me an indication of where the rates probably are, since they just had the sale. So hopefully we'll do well. I did see in September they're talking about lowering rates, so we'll see how things come about. Yeah, a lot of unknowns for a little while, but we'll keep an eye on it. Okay.
And I think then the other question is, there was some conversation among the board when we got the electric bus grant that we might want to reduce the number of buses we are purchasing.
So what I did is I put in front of you that list because I thought that discussion might happen, and there are the 12 buses that are looking to be replaced. They go back to 2009 all the way up to 2014. Right now, you're going to start seeing the 2025s start to come out. So if we read, as I mentioned, I think at that meeting, is the transportation director would prefer that if we get the 3 buses, we still buy 12. We would just go into what would be the next batch. You see, the next batch is 623,000. The goal is to try to stay within 10 years. of for the life of the bus and age. The challenge we have up at the bus barn is we are in the direct site of where they take all the salt, and they rot out. They just don't last. So we're working with the city to try to do some adjustments and paving up there in the near future, because they have some capital projects that they're gonna do. I was just up there today working with their staff and what's called Highland Fleets, which is a national company that is implementing and helping districts and cities put in these electric buses. But if in fact, we have to give up at least 3 of these buses, we have to show proof, we have to give them the VIN and everything for the grant, but the director is asking that we be able to then go into the next batch.
And
Now,
that
you
would-
don't, that's a decision you need to make tonight. All you're doing is authorizing.
Okay.
The way to kind of look at it is you're kind of like setting the credit line, and then when you actually spend that credit line, you'll
Yeah,
make
we
the
don't have to buy the
determination.
buses we bond.
Yep.
Right. You could also say, you know, what, or if you bond this, you can reprioritize it. Because one of the things we discussed today is there gonna be some infrastructure things that come up for the electric buses that the grant is not gonna cover.
Right.
Right.
So you
Jack-
could reprioritize funds.
Do the electric buses have the same projected life as a normal bus, a current bus, or are they have longer
We're-
life expectancy?
We're thinking 10 to 12, because one of the proposals is I work with Highland on a couple of different options to go over with you, is they're looking at like a 12-year quote lease, and what that is it has everything wrapped around into it, all your maintenance, all your charging fees,
Oh,
everything.
that's great. Okay.
So hopefully it'd be 10 to 12, similar to this.
Okay, so you could, if we took out 3 buses from 2026, we could theoretically, 12 years down the line, have 3 buses that are, or when we get to that next 10-year break,
Yeah.
I mean.
Well, as you
we
can
could
see,
have
this
3
is the
that are like,
replacement,
"Nope, we
because
have a couple-" Yeah,
yeah, well, this bond would just be to catch up.
Gotcha.
And then we have to figure out, I know you had asked during the budget process to say, hey, what if we bonded, and budgeted 400,000 a year for new buses. As you can see, based on that projection, that's still not enough.
Still not enough,
But does that make sense that we do that? I think we're gonna have to have more discussion
Yeah.
internally and then also with you on whether we do that. Whenever I've had the opportunity to bond, and like I said, 2017 was the last time because of the steam to gas, that's when we did a big upgrade and bought, I think, 15 or 17 buses to try to catch up.
yeah.
And then that got us to where we are now. And I think we've purchased 1 new bus because of a special needs child. It had to have an air conditioner in it.
Gotcha.
And that was about $107,000.
Is
Mr. Rich,
Oh,
and the Miss Campbells and the Miss
No,
Higgins.
I was just gonna say I would drive the air conditioner.
You may have
Just need to get your CDL.
that chance. So, hello. So Jack, do we resell these buses and get any return on them at the end of 10 years? And
They go over to
actually-
the state auction. We
They go
just
to
turn them
state
right over to
auction.
the state auction on Clinton Street, and whatever money comes in goes into miscellaneous revenue.
For the state or for us?
For us.
For us.
Yeah.
Okay, because I noticed that, some of the buses we're driving right now are, 2009, so we're getting a little more than 10 years out of those.
Yeah, yeah.
I was just wondering if we're retiring some of the ones that are a little younger, are we getting some sort of a return at all on those?
Yeah, I can look at the history of what we get. It's only a couple grand. We don't
Yeah.
get much because
Now, if
a
you
lot of the-
watch Instagram, you can see that all these people are converting buses into little mini traveling homes.
And one of the reasons we send it over there is for liability
Not for me.
purposes. Once we sign it over to the auction, we're out of it.
Right.
We don't sell them independently ourselves.
Yeah, it's too much work.
Yeah.
Okay, and, I would assume that the life of the bus is dependent on how many runs we make on them, because each of the average run is about 6 to 8 runs a day.
Our average runs are about 65 miles,
Yeah,
so
and we do 6 to 8 runs a day, but if we had more buses, I'm assuming there'd be less runs, but the life would extend, and it depends on varying. It's a bit of a, variable game
Hire the
there on
drivers,
that one.
that's the big
Yeah.
piece
yep,
too.
drivers.
And drivers, so.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Miss Campbell?
you mentioned bond cash out? What is that?
Oh, what did I say? Reprioritize?
Well, yeah, what's bond cash out? So is that?
Oh, is that your term for it?
No, I thought
Bond-
that's what you had said.
Oh no, I don't think so. Sorry.
I thought you would just. Okay, that's
No,
fine.
no, no. Reprioritize the bond.
Got it.
If I did, then I was doing Jersey speak, and it's a little hungover from the vacation. Sorry.
I know
She
Maine
speaks
speak.
Jersey.
That's true, we do. So
yeah.
I must have said it. I'll
My
go back
career
on.
was in New Jersey, Jack. So my question is, with the buses, are you looking at all fixed, or are we looking at leasing options? Are you looking at everything
We
for this
buy
just
'em.
fixed? You
We
just buy straight
them.
out.
Yeah.
Would a line of credit, like if this is something we need to do every couple, like let's say 10 years from now, would a line of credit, is that something you're looking into?
So we used to lease them through SunTrust,
Mm-hmm.
which is, and then it's a fair market value or dollar, it's really dollar buyout at the end.
Yep.
Those interest rates are probably gonna run anywhere from 4.5% to 7%.
Okay, and you think with the buying out, you can get lower, hoping lower than 3.75?
Well, bond bank was 3.19 for
Right.
10 years,
Yep.
so I'm
Okay.
anticipating this to get around that.
That's fair. So looking for a term for all of them, and then just going out and seeing who's gonna come back and give the
Yeah,
best.
and then this way there isn't that, I mean, I will tell you, the nice part about the lease, and
Mm-hmm.
you probably had the director, he'd say, yeah, that's great, because it
Right.
forces you now to get the new buses.
Right.
But it doesn't give you much in a way, I mean, as you know, 80% of your budget's pretty fixed.
Right.
But this would be add another thing that's
that's
absolute, granted, you have
perfect.
the payment, but your payment for the buses is about, principal's for 150,000, and the interest in the first year is 56,000, so
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
about
it won't be
200,000.
much. Okay,
Yeah, and if
and
you
yeah,
were to lease 'em-
leasing, if and when we go to all electric, it's so hard right now with that, so that's,
Yeah.
Okay,
So
thank you.
I anticipate the leasing will be probably 30 to 40,000 a year.
okay, perfect, thank you.
That's my guess.
Could you explain,
Mm-hmm.
there's varying prices and is it,
Yeah, it's based on the size. So like a Type C bus is a 77 passenger, a D bus is an 89 passenger. Then you get into a D with wheelchair accessibility.
okay,
So that reduces the number of seats on there. And then an A bus is 29, an A with a wheelchair 17, and then a van is 9. And the vans usually we buy them.
do
Oh,
we
it's my
use,
one.
how often do we use an 89 passenger
Hmm.
bus and fill it?
Track him.
Well,
Well, you rent them.
At least once.
and let me see, how many do we have? We have two in here. A lot of that gets into the sports trips too, because you got to fit the equipment.
Okay, all right, okay, thank you. Other questions?
No.
Mr. Croto, would you like to testify as the only member of the public and our treasurer here?
I certainly would, for just a moment.
Could you come up to the microphone?
I'll sign in right afterward.
Thank you.
I know the routine. So I just wanted to say that I know that this has been a long time coming, and people in the public should know that this school board has been working on this along with Jack and the superintendent for quite a while to make sure that the high school is like having a bad furnace in your house and you just wait for the day that it doesn't work anymore. And so the high school is going to be taking care of Beaver Meadow School and Broken Ground. Those are going to have great new air handlers. It just shows forward thinking of the board, and I appreciate that. Want people to know the kind of work that you've done for that. And that's all I have to say. So
Well, thank you, and thank you for your contributions to this effort as
Yes.
a past member of the board. Yeah, we haven't really talked. Yes, and as the treasurer, but we haven't really talked about the HVAC system and the difference that's going to make for our schools. We will have
Oh, my God, yeah.
all of the schools with dehumidified air except Runlet, which when we build a new middle school will be addressed as well.
Yep.
And given the changing temperatures and the warmer Septembers and Junes and sometimes Mays and Octobers we've been having, it'll make school more comfortable and make the buildings more usable year-round.
certainly more usable. Our kids will be a lot happier. Our teachers will be a lot happier. And we're protecting our
Yep.
big interests of our buildings. Big deal.
So,
Thank you.
thank you. Beaver Meadow and Broken Ground are happening now,
They are. Yep,
Broken
they
ground.
started, I think, June 17th.
is my
On both
understanding.
schools?
Broken Ground should be ready for school to open. Beaver Meadow
So both will be,
might be delayed because of a transformer.
so they'll both be ready. One of the questions we had with Train and Unitil on the call back in, I'm gonna say December or January, All we wanted to solidify is that they would have heat. So the transformer will not be, they said August something, they've already said now it's delayed till December. What we won't be able to fire up at Beaver Meadow will be the dehumidified
That
air,
air.
which they don't have now.
Right.
But if we couldn't fire up the school for heat, we would have delayed the project. We were not gonna take that chance, but they say.
So, but
you can
hopefully
function
for next
heat.
spring, they
So
will
we'll be-
have
Right,
the dehumidified air, and then the high school project is scheduled for next summer.
yep. And so far, engineering has cleared all that so far. So I don't expect to, I mean, I would have expected to hear by now if it needed a transformer, because they're 72 to 90 weeks out. Big stuff, yeah. That's why we were up there at the comp today talking about with the electric buses and Unitil, that we need to upgrade this, that kind of thing. Because if it's a big transformer, it's some time out. If it's a smaller one, you can probably get in a reasonable time, but.
Anyone have anything else? Well, I hope as we get these new buses, we can work with the city to figure out a way to protect our buses from salt
Yes.
and make them last a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm gonna close the public hearing. And, any discussion? This requires 7 votes of the school board in order to pass. I'll ask Ms. Meeker to do a roll call.
Do we need to read the
we vote
motion
on
out
the
loud?
motion?
Yes, we
Make the
need to do somebody needs to make the motion, thank you.
I'm happy to make the motion.
Great.
So it's gonna be, yep, okay.
Just what's up here?
Yep, it's the same thing that's in front of you, just where you start with voted.
All right, I move that under and pursuant to the Municipal Finance Act, Chapter 33, NHRSA as amended, and any other enabling authority, there be and hereby is appropriated the sum of $19,975,400 in order to finance the cost of adding heating, ventilation and air conditioning and/or converting to natural gas in various district school buildings, and the purchase of new school buses, including the payment of costs incidental or related thereto, collectively the projects. Do you need me to read the project description?
Just say as listed.
As listed. To meet this appropriation, the district treasurer, with the approval of the Board of Education, is authorized to borrow $19,975,400 under the Municipal Finance Act as amended, and any other enabling authority, and issue bonds of the district, the bond, in the principal amount of $19,975,400 and notes in anticipation thererof.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Oh,
I
Nope,
still
you
gotta
keep
read.
going.
Jeez. Oh,
I know, I didn't realize it was that big.
There's actually a back.
There's a back to the letter. As the amounts indicated above for each project are necessarily estimates, the business administrator may allocate more funds to any one or more of such projects and less to others so long as, in the judgment of the business administrator, each of the projects described above can be completed within the total appropriation made by this vote, and if such allocations occur after the funds are borrowed, that such allocation shall not result in funds being allocated to a project with a useful life that is shorter than the term for which such funds were borrowed for. 4, that the clerk of the school board and the signers of bond are hereby authorized to take any and all actions necessary or convenient to carry out the provisions of this vote, including delivering the bond against payment therefor. 5, that all things heretofore done and all action heretofore taken by the school board and its officers and agents in its authorization of the projects and their financing are hereby ratified, approved, and confirmed. 6, that the expected useful life of each of the projects being financed by the bond is hereby determined to be as follows, and we will refer to as listed. This vote shall take effect upon its passage.
Could you read that again?
For you,
I'll second.
That's all I have.
moved by Ms. Robinson, seconded by Mr. Richards. Is there further discussion? Ms. Meeker, will you take a roll?
I will. Ms. Boucher,
Yes.
Ms. Robinson,
yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Ms. Higgins,
Yep.
Mr. Richards,
Yes.
Ms. Hastings,
Yes.
Ms. Walsh.
Yes.
I am a yes, 8-0 with 1 absent.
Sarah, who seconded?
Mr. Richards.
Mr. Richards.
And I am going to pass around the attestation that we need to sign, and that, so that our clerk and treasurer can sign it as well.
Perfect.
I am going to make a motion to go into non-public session under RSA 91A3, Section 2C, to discuss personnel issues. Okay, if I can have a second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Higgins. All in favor?
Aye.
I think we need a roll call.
Roll call on this one.
Oh,
We'll do a roll call.
All
I'm
right.
just gonna keep borrowing Brenda's pen since I only have a highlighter. Ooh, thank you. All right, so we're motion to go into non-public. Ms. Boucher,
Yes.
Ms. Robinson, Ms.
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Ms. Higgins,
Yes.
Mr. Richards,
Yes.
Ms. Hastings,
Yes.
Ms. Walsh,
Yes.
and I am a yes.
We do not expect to conduct any further business, public business tonight, except to adjourn, so we're gonna let Concord Television go home as well. Thank you. We needed that over here as well.